Why is cross-cultural communication important in today's globalized world?
Cross-cultural communication is crucial because it allows people from different backgrounds to understand and connect with each other, fostering collaboration, mutual respect, and avoiding misunderstandings.
What are some key challenges individuals and organizations face when communicating across cultures?
Challenges include language barriers, differing communication styles, nonverbal cues, and varying cultural norms. These can lead to misinterpretations and communication breakdowns.
How can individuals improve their cross-cultural communication skills?
Individuals can educate themselves about other cultures, practice active listening, and be open-minded and adaptable. Learning some key phrases in the other person's language can also be helpful.
What strategies can organizations implement to enhance cross-cultural communication among their teams?
Organizations can provide cultural sensitivity training, create a diverse and inclusive workplace, and encourage open dialogue about cultural differences. They should also promote a culture of respect for diversity.
Can you share an example of a successful cross-cultural communication experience that had a positive impact?
Certainly. The international collaboration on the CERN Large Hadron Collider project involved scientists from various cultures and languages working together to make groundbreaking discoveries in physics.
How can organizations promote diversity and inclusion in the workplace?
Organizations can start by creating a culture of inclusivity through policies, training, and leadership commitment. They should also actively seek diverse talent and provide equal opportunities for all.
What role does leadership play in fostering diversity and inclusion?
Leadership is crucial. Leaders should set the tone by promoting diversity, embracing diverse perspectives, and holding everyone accountable for fostering an inclusive environment.
Can you share some examples of successful diversity and inclusion initiatives in organizations?
Certainly. Companies like Google and Microsoft have implemented programs to increase diversity in their workforce. Google, for instance, publishes annual diversity reports and provides unconscious bias training.
How can employees contribute to promoting diversity and inclusion at their workplaces?
Employees can actively participate in diversity and inclusion programs, speak up against bias or discrimination, and promote inclusive behaviors. They should also educate themselves on these topics to become allies.
What are some common challenges organizations face when trying to promote diversity and inclusion, and how can they address them?
Challenges include resistance to change, unconscious bias, and lack of representation. Organizations can address these issues by providing training, setting diversity goals, and creating diverse hiring panels.
What exactly is cultural intelligence, CQ, and why is it important in today's globalized world?
Cultural intelligence, or CQ, refers to a person's ability to understand, adapt to, and effectively work with people from diverse cultural backgrounds. In our globalized world, CQ is essential for building strong relationships, avoiding misunderstandings, and fostering collaboration across cultures.
How can individuals develop their cultural intelligence skills?
Developing CQ involves increasing one's cultural awareness, knowledge, and skills. This can be achieved through cultural sensitivity training, learning about different cultures, and actively seeking cross-cultural experiences.
What are some practical benefits of having a high level of cultural intelligence in various aspects of life?
High CQ can lead to improved interpersonal relationships, more effective cross-cultural communication, and success in diverse workplaces. It also promotes empathy, reduces conflicts, and enhances adaptability.
Can you share an example of a situation where cultural intelligence played a pivotal role in achieving a positive outcome?
Certainly. In international business negotiations, having a high CQ can help negotiators understand cultural nuances, build trust, and reach mutually beneficial agreements, ultimately leading to successful partnerships.
How can organizations promote and incorporate cultural intelligence within their teams?
Organizations can offer CQ training, encourage diversity and inclusion, and create a culture that values and rewards individuals who demonstrate high CQ. They should also incorporate CQ into their recruitment and talent development processes. Why is fostering inclusivity important in software development teams?
Fostering inclusivity is vital because it ensures that diverse perspectives and talents are valued and included in the software development process. This leads to more innovative and effective solutions.
What are some common challenges software teams face when it comes to inclusivity, and how can they address them?
Challenges may include unconscious bias, lack of diversity, and communication barriers. Teams can address these issues through diversity training, diverse hiring practices, and creating an open and inclusive environment.
How can team leaders and managers actively promote inclusivity within their software development teams?
Leaders can lead by example, encourage open dialogue about diversity and inclusion, and establish policies that promote equal opportunities. They should also be proactive in addressing any instances of bias or discrimination.
What role does communication play in creating an inclusive software development team, and how can it be improved?
Communication is crucial in fostering inclusivity. Team members should actively listen, respect different viewpoints, and encourage everyone to speak up. Regular team-building activities can also improve communication and cohesion.
Can you share an example of a software development team that successfully embraced inclusivity and benefited from it?
Certainly. The software team at Microsoft has made strides in promoting inclusivity. They have implemented programs like the Autism Hiring Program, aiming to provide opportunities for individuals on the autism spectrum, and have seen positive results.
Why is it important to understand best practices for communicating across cultures? Understanding best practices for cross-cultural communication is vital because it enables individuals and organizations to bridge cultural gaps, avoid misunderstandings, and build strong relationships with people from diverse backgrounds. What are some common challenges people face when communicating across cultures, and how can they overcome them? Challenges include language barriers, differing communication styles, and varying cultural norms. To overcome them, individuals should practice active listening, ask clarifying questions, and adapt their communication approach to the cultural context. Can you share some best practices for effective cross-cultural communication in a professional setting? Certainly. Some key practices include researching the culture you're interacting with, being aware of nonverbal cues, avoiding assumptions, and demonstrating respect for cultural differences. How can organizations promote and implement best practices for cross-cultural communication among their teams? Organizations can provide cultural sensitivity training, encourage diverse teams, and create a culture of open dialogue about cultural differences. They should also lead by example in embracing and valuing diversity. Can you provide an example of a situation where effective cross-cultural communication played a pivotal role in achieving a positive outcome? Sure. In global business negotiations, understanding cultural nuances and adapting communication styles can lead to stronger partnerships and successful deals, benefiting both parties. What are some of the most common accessibility challenges faced by tech product developers, and how can they address these challenges effectively?
Common challenges include designing for various disabilities, limited awareness of accessibility standards, and insufficient testing. Developers can address these challenges by incorporating accessibility from the start, following established guidelines like CAG, and involving people with disabilities in user testing.
Can you share examples of tech companies or products that have excelled in promoting accessibility, and what strategies have they employed?
Certainly. Companies like Apple and Microsoft have made significant strides. They prioritize accessibility in their design, provide built-in assistive features, and engage with the disabled community for feedback and innovation.
How can small startups or independent developers with limited resources prioritize accessibility in their tech products?
Start by learning about accessibility guidelines and incorporating them into your design process. Utilize open-source accessibility libraries and tools, seek feedback from the community, and gradually allocate resources for accessibility improvements as your product grows.
Why is it essential for tech products to be accessible, and how does it benefit both users and developers?
Accessibility benefits everyone. It ensures that people with disabilities can use tech products independently, expanding the user base. Additionally, accessible design often leads to better overall user experiences and can mitigate legal risks for developers.
Are there any emerging technologies or trends that can further enhance accessibility in tech products?
Yes, emerging technologies like AI and machine learning hold promise for improving accessibility. They can be used for real-time captioning, image recognition, and voice-controlled interfaces. Staying updated on these trends can help developers innovate in the accessibility space.
What are some key steps that tech communities can take to foster inclusivity and diversity among their members? To foster inclusivity, tech communities can start by establishing clear codes of conduct, promoting diversity in leadership roles, providing accessible platforms, and organizing events that celebrate and include underrepresented groups. Can you share examples of tech communities or organizations that have successfully built inclusive environments, and how did they achieve this? Absolutely. Communities like Women Who Code and Black Girls Code have been successful in fostering inclusivity. They provide mentorship programs, networking opportunities, and safe spaces for marginalized groups to learn and thrive in tech. How can tech communities actively engage with schools and educational programs to promote diversity in tech from an early age? Tech communities can collaborate with schools to offer coding workshops, mentorship programs, and scholarships. By providing exposure to tech at a young age, they can inspire diverse talent to pursue careers in the field. In what ways can tech communities ensure that they are not just inclusive in theory but also in practice, fostering a sense of belonging for all members? It's essential to create safe spaces for sharing experiences, provide opportunities for leadership and collaboration, and actively seek feedback from members to address issues promptly. Inclusivity should be a continuous effort, not just a checklist. Are there any resources or best practices that tech communities can use to enhance their inclusivity efforts? Tech communities can leverage resources like diversity and inclusion training, accessibility guidelines, and toolkits for creating welcoming environments. They should also engage with organizations focused on diversity in tech for guidance and support.
Why is it essential for organizations to cultivate an inclusive team culture?
Cultivating an inclusive team culture is crucial because it fosters diversity, equality, and a sense of belonging. It allows every team member to contribute their best and helps organizations thrive.
What are some common challenges organizations face when trying to create an inclusive team culture, and how can they overcome them?
Challenges include unconscious bias, resistance to change, and lack of awareness. Organizations can address these issues by providing diversity and inclusion training, setting clear expectations, and promoting open dialogue about inclusion.
Can you share some best practices for organizations looking to promote inclusivity within their teams?
Certainly. Best practices include providing diversity and inclusion training, setting inclusive policies and goals, encouraging diverse hiring, and recognizing and celebrating diversity and contributions.
How can team leaders play a pivotal role in fostering an inclusive team culture?
Team leaders can lead by example, actively promote diversity and inclusion, listen to team members' concerns, and provide opportunities for underrepresented voices to be heard and valued.
Can you provide an example of an organization that successfully cultivated an inclusive team culture and saw positive results?
IBM is a great example. They've implemented programs like Tech Reentry to bring back women technologists who took career breaks and introduced initiatives to promote diversity in their workforce, resulting in a more inclusive culture and innovative solutions.
What is unconscious bias, and why is it essential for organizations to address it in the workplace?
Unconscious bias refers to the automatic, unintentional judgments and stereotypes we hold about people based on their characteristics. It's crucial to address it because it can lead to unfair treatment and hinder diversity and inclusion efforts.
What are some common forms of unconscious bias that can affect the workplace?
Common forms include affinity bias, where people favor those who are similar to them, confirmation bias, where people seek information that confirms their preconceptions, and gender or racial bias.
How can organizations create awareness about unconscious bias among their employees?
Organizations can offer unconscious bias training, promote open dialogue, and provide resources to help employees recognize and mitigate bias. It's essential to create a culture where addressing bias is encouraged.
What steps can individuals take to combat their unconscious biases in the workplace?
Individuals can start by acknowledging their biases, seeking diverse perspectives, and practicing empathy. They should also be open to feedback and actively challenge their assumptions.
Can you share an example of an organization that successfully addressed unconscious bias and created a more inclusive workplace?
Salesforce is an excellent example. They conducted a pay equity audit and invested $3 million to close the gender pay gap. They also provide unconscious bias training to all employees, resulting in positive changes in their corporate culture.
What is the importance of using inclusive language in technical documentation, and how can it benefit both creators and users?
Inclusive language in technical documentation ensures that the content is accessible and respectful to all users, regardless of their background or identity. It benefits creators by broadening their audience of users by making the content more understandable and welcoming.
Can you provide examples of common pitfalls or biases that can occur in technical documentation language, and how can they be avoided?
Common pitfalls include gender-specific terms, ableist language, and cultural biases. To avoid these, creators should use gender-neutral language, steer clear of ableist terms, and be mindful of cultural references that may not be universal.
How can technical writers strike a balance between using precise technical terminology and making their documentation accessible to a broader audience?
It's about clarity. Technical writers can use precise terminology when necessary but provide explanations and context for less technical readers. Using a glossary and offering supplementary resources can also help bridge the gap.
Are there any best practices or guidelines that technical writers can follow to ensure that their documentation is consistently inclusive?
Yes, guidelines such as the Microsoft Writing Style Guide and the Google Developer Documentation Style Guide offer clear instructions on using inclusive language. Technical writers can also seek feedback from diverse users to refine their approach.
How can organizations encourage and support their technical writers in adopting inclusive language practices in their documentation?
Organizations can provide training and resources on inclusive language, create style guides specific to their industry, and establish a culture of inclusivity where feedback and continuous improvement are valued.
Hello viewers. If you enjoyed this video, please show your appreciation by hitting the like button. Your likes encourage me to create more content that you'll love. I truly value your thoughts and feedback, so please take a moment to share your valuable comments in the comments section below. Your comments help me improve and shape the future videos on this channel. To stay updated with more exciting videos and to support my channel, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, so they can join our wonderful community too. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for spending your valuable time watching this video. Your support means the world to me. Thank you, and I look forward to bringing you more fantastic content in the future.